Microeconomics Perloff 2.6 specific tax. To answer the three questions, must extend the standard supply and demand analysis to take taxes into account. Let's start by assuming the specific tax is assessed on firms at the time of sale. If the consumer pays P for a good, the government takes tau and the seller receives P minus tau. Suppose that the government collects a specific tax of tau equals $1.05 per kilogram of processed pork from pork producers. Because of the tax, suppliers keep only P minus tau of price P that consumers pay. Thus, at every possible price paid by consumers, firms are willing to supply less than when they receive the full amount consumers paid. Before the tax, firms were willing to supply 206 million kilograms per year at a price of $2.95 as the pre-tax supply curve, capital S superscript 1, in figure 2.12 shows. After the tax, firms receive only $1.90 if consumers pay $2.95. So they are no longer willing to supply a quantity of 206. For firms to be willing to supply a quantity of 206, they must receive $2.95 after the tax, so consumers must pay $4. By this reasoning, the after-tax supply curve is capital S superscript 2 is tau equals $1.05. Above the original supply curve, capital S superscript 1 at every quantity as the figure shows. We can use this figure to illustrate the answer to our first question concerning the effects of the tax on the pork market equilibrium. The specific tax causes the equilibrium price consumers pay to rise and the equilibrium quantity to fall. The intersection of the pre-tax pork supply curve is capital S superscript 1 E sub 1. The equilibrium price is P sub 1 equals $3.30, and the equilibrium quantity is capital Q subscript 1 equals 220. The tax shifts the supply curve to capital S superscript 2. So the after tax equilibrium is E superscript E sub 2. At E sub 2, consumers pay P sub 2 equals $4. Firms receive P sub 2 minus $1.05 equals $2.95. And capital Q sub 2 equals 206. Thus, the tax causes the price that consumers pay to increase. Delta P equals P sub 2 minus P sub 1 equals $4.33 equals 70 cents. And the quantity to fall, delta capital Q, equals Q sub 2 minus Q sub 1 equals 206 minus 220 equals negative 14. Although consumers and producers are worse off because of the tax, the government acquires new tax revenue of capital T equals tau capital Q equals $1.05 per kilogram, and $206 million kilograms per year equals 216.3 million per year. The length of the shaded rectangle in the figure 2 sub 2 equals 206 million kilogram per year, and its height is tau equals $1.05 per kilogram. So the area of the rectangle equals the tax revenue. The figure shows only part of the length of the rectangle because the horizontal axis starts at 176. Figure 212. The effect of a $1.05 specific tax on the pork market collected from producers. In the graph, we have P in dollars per kilogram on the vertical axis, and capital Q millions of kilograms of pork per year on the horizontal axis. There is one demand curve, downward sloping, capital D. There are two supply curves, sloping upward, capital S superscript 1 and capital S superscript 2. Capital S superscript 1 intersects the E sub 1, where price is equal to $3.30 and kilograms of pork per year. The tax tau is added of $1.05, which shifts the supply curve to capital S superscript 2, and that intersects the demand curve. Sub 2 has a price of P sub 2 equals $4, and capital Q sub 2 equals 206. The specific tax of tau equals $1.05 per kilogram collected from producers shifts the pre-tax supply curve from capital S superscript 1 to the post-tax supply curve, capital S superscript 2. The tax causes the equilibrium to shift from E sub 1, determined by the intersection of capital S sub 1 and capital D, to E sub 2, intersection of capital S superscript 2 with capital D. The equilibrium price increases from $3.30 to $4. The 2/3 of the incidence of the tax falls on consumers. It's more per unit. Producers receive 35 cents less per unit after the tax. The government collects tax revenues of capital T, which equals tau capital Q sub 2 equals $216.3 million per year.